Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Monday morning edition of premarketinfo.com. Coming up into the holiday week, we're starting out with a little bit of a rally here, currently trading at 1216 in the S&Ps. Up 5, Dennis.
Yeah, actually overnight there, Joel, we were down last night again, though, around 1 o'clock. I guess we popped up there, Joel.
Yep. Opened up pretty much unchanged, took out the lows from Thursday and Friday, went down and made a Globex low at 1201.75, kind of sniffed the weekly low, 1198, but couldn't quite get there. If that stands as the low of the day, we have an upside target of 1229, Dennis. On the upside, we got to 1219.75, and that was just short of Thursday's high, which not a big number since we took that out on Friday. If that holds as the high of the day, we have a downside target of 1192.50. Right now, Dennis, we still just need to stay above the close at 1211 area in order to maintain this rally. Just one other number on the upside, folks, and I think this number is going to be good for this week and also beyond. We hit Friday's high at 1225 even. You also had Wednesday's Globex high at 1226.50. I think in order to get back up and test that 1250, 1260 level, you're going to have to crack that 1226 area, and hopefully they won't do it overnight. Well, moving on to the Big Ten. We still have Apple here, Dennis, meandering in the 380 area. Made a high on Friday. Actually got some good numbers here for you folks in Apple. Friday's high, 384.15. Thursday's high, 384.74. So if you feel like trying to play it up on the long side, that 384 level would be a good place to exit. Coming back on the downside, being 86 cents above the close, we'll use 381.02 as the close, good support. And then Thursday and Friday's low, pretty close to each other, 378.31 and 379. Dennis, this Apple is just one quiet stock.
Yeah, it's been quiet here, Joel. Obviously, we had the big sell-off there last, Tuesday, Wednesday, where we fell from the 394 area down to the 378 area. We've kind of just been hanging out here for a couple of days, trying to figure out which way the stock wants to break. Obviously, there's some really good support at 378 area, which was right around Wednesday's low, and that 384 area that you pointed out is a nice high there too, where we've had a couple of highs there, so that will give you resistance. If you get above that 384 area, then it kind of opens up to 390. So, you could play that two ways, obviously shorting off the 384, or if you're long, you might want to sell it. But it starts to break out, get up to 384, 50, 385. There's like some air in there, Joel, to 390. So you could try to take 5 or 6 points out that way too.
Okay, ExxonMobil, Dennis, the question is going to be, is that thing going to take out 82 this week?
ExxonMobil, that $82 has been a huge number, Joel. We talked about the guy having size up there for a couple of weeks here now. Obviously, the guy's still kicking up there. So the stock closed at 80.16 here. We're trading around 80.50 right now, so we're $1.50 away from where the real resistance is, which is up at 82. There is some at 81. I see a little bit of size forming. My little whole number theory may be coming into play there. So I'd expect a little bit of initial resistance, probably in the 80-90s. Those high-frequency guys like to lean on that size, so they'll probably be there in the 80-90 area.
Is the size at 81 or 82?
Little bit of size. I'm just saying 82's got the major size.
What's it got up there?
A little bit forming at 81 too.
What's it got up?
Over 100,000 shares at 82. Over 100,000 at 82. 40,000 at 81. So there is some at 81 now too.
Okay. Well, it looks like someone else can read the charts too, because Friday's high was 80.91. So the HFT guys are probably stepping in there. The major number ahead of that 82, the weekly high at 81.81. We topped out there the week before. Coming back on the downside, we're trading slightly above the close, so use that 80.16, which was the close on Friday, as well as Thursday's close at 80.03. Right below that, you have the lows for the week there at 78.66 as major support. Moving on to our next component, Dennis, IBM, man, that thing just fell out of bed on Friday. What do you think? It was someone just getting caught long going into the expiration or something? That was a big move in IBM.
Yeah, I think it's exactly. It caught a lot of. It opened below fair value. Actually, I believe it opened down on the day, didn't it, Joel? Did you remember if it opened down?
Yep,
Let me just go back and check.
Yep, took out the low and went straight down.
So we opened actually, just slightly down there from the previous close, and we were way up on the S&P overall. So what happens basically is you get a lot of OPG traders that get long on that just on a fair value play. IBM's pretty thin lately, with liquidity. You're seeing 100, 200 shares, on the bid and offer at almost all times with a 5 or 7 cent spread. So if you get, a few thousand shares and probably, 10, 20,000 shares caught long off the bat, then they got to wash out somehow, and I think you've seen the washout all day. So you've got to be careful if you're trading, an OPG fair value strategy type of deal. We'll get some of this information up on the website for you people who aren't familiar with that. But, basically if the market's opening down 1%, then fair value says that IBM should open down 1%. So, if the market's up and IBM opens down, some traders will come in saying that that's, a relative, edge there where I can get in, on the cheap. But, when there's not much liquidity, you get too many players on that side of it, and it can make the stocks get really cheap. So I think that's what happened there overall, Joel. You got some traders that were playing the open, they got caught long, and they washed out throughout the day.
Yeah, and it was pretty good volume associated with that move too. So just to keep that in mind, just for the strict numbers, there's really nothing up there until Friday's high, which is 188.01. Coming back on the downside, you got the close at 183.57, not too far away from that now. I imagine you'll find pretty good support here from the 183.57 all the way down to the Friday and weekly low at 181.81. Moving on to Mr. Softy, Dennis. Kind of a soft market, but not for Microsoft. Popped up, made a new weekly high on Friday, 26.17. Closed right on that magic $26 level. So I guess for all intensive purposes, this thing may be trekking back up to that $27 level.
This stock has got a mind of its own. What it wants to do. Definitely not really correlated with much at all right now, but the chart on itself looks like it's breaking out to me as well. I think you're going to find decent support in this 25.90 to 26 area because that has been resistance, and so if you're a firm believer in that resistance becomes support, that would be your number to play it off of. 26.17 did break that old 26.10 high, so we are starting to make higher highs and higher lows, which means we might be due for a breakout here. It starts to open up above that 26.17.
Yep, all the way up to 26.50, and I think if you're buying it at 26, you're going to take a little bit of heat. Perhaps scale it down there. Really support down there, but when you go back to the previous day's lows, it's really you don't want to buy it at 26 and then ride it out down to that level. Moving on to our next component, Chevron Corporation. Quiet day on Friday. Real great good numbers for you here, folks. You had Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays lows, 99.32 to 99.59. If it gets down there, you either got to cover short or try along at least the first time. Coming back on the upside, minor resistance at 100.86 was the close and the high. Kind of weird for the way the market was. You definitely had some weird prints on the close. But above that 00.86, I'm looking at 101.60, which was Thursday's high.
Finding some support in this 100 area of 99.59, the low. Maybe you could play a play from the long side there. If it starts to take out those lows there from Friday, though, I wouldn't want to be long this thing. Overall, though, this is kind of in the middle of, where we've had the recent run-up. We had the recent run-up there earlier in the month from 95 to 105. We're, settling back at 100, which would be the 50% retracement. So it's kind of settling in here, trying to figure out which way it wants to go, Joel.
Yep, J&J, what a weird day on that stock on Friday. Popped up, opened high, crashed down, matched Thursday's low, 63.55 to 57, be major support there, and then meandered its way all the way back up to 64.37, closing at 64.30. You got a bunch of multi-day highs here, 6-day high at 64.68, a 9-day high at 64.81. 10-day high there at 64.95, on and on and on. Obviously, Dennis will talk about that seller at 65. Is he still lurking around there, Dennis?
Yeah, there's still a seller up at 65, but 64.30, I just want to talk about this number. This is where we're trading. It's trading flat. You might come in today saying, why is this stock trading flat? 35 cents on the closing print. It was trading at 63.95. Big institutional size gapped it up to 64.30 on the closing print. So you got a 35-cent gap there where it's kind of fluff. So, really it was kind of priced at 63.95. So one buyer pressed it up to 64.30. So don't be surprised if this stock opens possibly down or is relatively weak today because of that, basically, that closes 35 cents overpriced in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably someone that had the 64 calls and they just wanted to see them in the money, so they sent a big order on the close. Moving on to Procter & Gamble, still meandering in the 65s. Made a high on Friday, though, got up to 65, 63, took out that 65.5 seller. Don't see a lot of resistance above that 65, 63 level. We did close a little bit below there at 65.14, so I'd be looking for good support from 65.14 down to Thursday's close at 64.99, and perhaps we got a new range at Procter & Gamble here, 65 to 66, Dennis.
Yeah, 65.75, seeing some size form there, and 66 is huge size. So expect resistance starting probably around 65.65, 65.62. Let's just call it the high there from Friday. I'd expect resistance to start there and actually go all the way up to 66.
Okay, so no free lunches on the long side above Friday's high. GE closing above 17, not by much though, 17.01. That stock gapped up on Friday and just kind of went nowhere, made a weekly high at 17.09. Sure looked like this stock has 17.5 on the mind if the market continues with perhaps a year-end rally. Coming back on the downside, you'll find support at the close as well as Friday's low at 16.91.
Yeah, 17.5's on my mind too, Joel. Obviously, that was the number back in October where it made that high. We're 40 cents away there. It looks kind of thick in the book. I think it's going to be a struggle. I don't think it'll get there today, but maybe, over the course of the next few days, maybe it can struggle its way through there. But it ain't going to be an easy battle. And there's support for the stock, I would say, is back probably in the 16.40 area that 16.25 area that you were talking about for a while too. So I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical to buy the stock here. But, there is some, we did break out through that 17 area, so I could see the argument for it, but I'd like a pullback before I would buy that.
Okay, and moving on to our final component, Coca-Cola, made a new high for the week up there at 67.75 on Friday, not closing far off that level. Just really that 67.75 to 80 has just been resistance now for the last couple of weeks. We bust up there. Maybe if their size is 68, we'll get a little breath there, but I'd be looking at 68.27, which was the highs from November 7th, to be good resistance. Coming back on the downside, you have the Thursday's low and close there to 66.79 to 89 level. Buyers will probably step up a little bit ahead of that. Friday's low at 67.26. I'd be a little tepid buying it there because I think you got at least risk down to that $67 level.
Yeah, $68 still has a size there though, Joel, so I don't think you can ignore it. There's 80,000 shares up there, so the high frequency guys will still be in the 67.90s. If the 68 goes, then you got a good number there that Joel gave you at 68.26. I often like you to see it trade 15, 20 cents above the number sometimes, and it shakes out all those high frequency traders, so then the stock can trade a little more normal. But if we're to get up there the first time, I gotta think we're gonna see some pretty good resistance in the 67.90s as those high frequency guys lean on that 68 level.
Well, Dennis, pretty consistent themes here. We got stocks just bumping against resistance. It's been, holding since we made those October highs. Size associated with that resistance up there. Market usually migrates to the size to take it out. SPUs are certainly giving some help this morning. That's our SPU&Big 10 analysis here. SPUs have not done much since we started our show. We're going to find some market movers for you, and we'll be back shortly.